Should I do it again in the correct order this time?
No, we're good.
Okay. All right, we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America,
States of America,
to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Our agenda tonight is a single item, resolution appointing Annette Ernst, Peosta City Administrator. Have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. And approving terms of employment as set forth within the terms of employment letter. Thank you, Doug. So motion to approve this agenda. Second. Doug, aye.
Karen, I.
John, aye. Mike, aye. Motion carries with 5. We will jump right into the resolution and appointing the city administrator and approving the terms of employment. Board Docs has the terms. And of the resolution. So these all go in one resolution. Are there any questions or comments to be shared prior to a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution appointing Annette Ernst as Peosta City terms of employment as set forth within the terms of employment. I'll second that. Doug, aye.
Karen, I.
John, aye.
Mike, aye. Motion carries with 5.
That was easy.
That is our only agenda item.
Congratulations.
Open for commentary from the public if there is any.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it. There's only 41 days to go.
Kelly wanted to pass on her congratulations to Annette.
Thank you so much. Tell her thank you. My staff actually wrote 41 days on my whiteboard in here, so they're just as excited as I am. Trust me. So.
Annette, we're very happy. Thank you very much for coming and talking with us and applying. We're really looking forward to working with you in the middle of June here.
Yep,
So
that
welcome.
sounds great to me. Yep. I'll be in communications with Karen to get my pre-employment physical and the drug screening out of the way. And I'll be up there this Friday looking at a couple of places, so keep your fingers crossed.
You bet. Let us know what we can do to help in the process.
Oh, you guys have been terrific so far, and I really appreciate it. And that's from the bottom of my heart, my Colts heart.
Say you're cold.
All right.
No, cold. Cold.
Yet another.
Sorry.
While Annette's still here, let me ask a question. And I was going through the office, and this was a goal setting the council did in 2019.
Okay.
Okay.
And the first one the council's maybe done and haven't done one since. I facilitate a lot of goal settings for different cities when I was in Monticello. Have you ever done goal settings with your council, Annette?
No, I have not with this one we did in the Village of Milan. And I also did that for the university, or excuse me, the extension office for the University of Illinois. I sat on their kind of a satellite board. So I've been through the process before.
It's up to the council, but my thought was that the process I've gone through is a little different than you did here, but we can get going on that process and actually have the first meeting after Annette starts. She'd have your regular council meeting, then we could do it. Really give her an opportunity to be brought up to speed on all the different things that you might be thinking about. Accomplishments the city's done, projects underway, things that are really important to get on right away, things in the 3 to 5 year range. I know you got a capital improvement plan. Beyond projects, it's vision a little bit. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay. So I'll keep you in the loop as I go through the process, and the process that you'll see from me, you'll get a questionnaire emailed to you, and you kind of fill that out. I'll also send the questionnaire to staff, and it'll be self-explanatory. You get it back to me, and between me and staff, we'll compile it. And then during the goal setting, we take that compilation and kind of put it up on the wall, which would be kind of similar to probably what you did at some point here, except you didn't do that first piece. So that really allows the meeting to go a little bit quicker, and it gives you a little more time to think about things. So anyway, you'll see paperwork coming your way as we get going on that.
Okay, sounds fantastic.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Doug.
Okay, my issue for today is the food permit. So it's Peosta Elementary, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. a vendor was planning on coming tomorrow. They do not have a food permit. They were upset that our food permit is only for a year. We have the $200 free for a year. They wanted to see a day permit, which we currently don't have in our ordinance, so we couldn't make that up to allow that. But I did speak to a member of the Peosta Elementary Parent Group today, and they have an event set up for June 2nd, in which they have 5 or 6 food trucks they're planning on bringing out, but they don't think they should need to get a permit. They're only gonna come out one time for this event. So we do have a section in that ordinance that says vendors that are exemptions from the permit are vendors that are permitted through Peosta Economic Development Corporation or other nonprofit community organization in conjunction with community special events shall be exempt from the requirements of this section. Jump in here.
Yeah, my advice on that, I mean, there may be some language to clean up a little bit potentially, depending on, you know, a lot of ordinances like this develop as you move and you run into things you didn't necessarily contemplate. My thought would be that two issues, nonprofit, you know, does that really mean nonprofit by IRS code, or is it an organization that calls themselves nonprofit, for example? Should that be a 501c3 type entity, or can it be an informal group of people trying to raise money to help pay for the costs of their 5th grade baseball team? Second thing would be the special event provision. I think it would be a
Okay, I lost the audio and visual. Hi, this is Annette. Is anyone else in the meeting? Oh, well, that was unfortunate. Huh. I lost you guys completely. Can you hear me?
Okay, is that better?
There we go.
You hear us?
Yes, I thought you really got upset with my Colts gear back here. Let me
Oh,
go.
so you moved another one. There's another one
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, there's a lot in here.
No.
We did have a small technical problem there that kicked us off. Glad to see you're
Okay.
still there.
And we
I'm
are,
so-
the agenda's over. It's kind of talking about the future agenda briefly here, maybe some modifications or reviewing the vendor ordinance for people coming in town, food trucks or other things, and how that works. When I heard the conversation today, I told Karen, I said, well, Monticello recently went through the same thing, and it all started with, all of a sudden, I mean, food trucks become more popular. All of a sudden, now there's one that wants to be in town. And of course, your local businesses who are paying taxes and donating when everybody walks in the door wanting donations. That's where it gets fired up, and that's where this got fired up. So trying to figure out how you can make both sides work. I think we did have more than just an annual permit. There was probably a one-day permit. You know, it wasn't like $10, it was probably $50 or $60 or something, but we did have a shorter term permit. We had some provisions for special events and nonprofits. We also had some prohibitions on some places they just couldn't be, like within, I don't remember the number, 200 feet of the entrance to a restaurant or a bar or something potentially prevented, unless they were, part of, if they were being brought in by that bar or that restaurant to participate in it. The Independents is going through the same discussion right now too.
So we have two considerations. Oh, go ahead, Annette.
No, do you have any restrictions with your county or with your county health department? I mean, do they step in and?
They have to be permitted. They have to have a health permit, and that would be, and I don't know if ours says that. Our application should require that we see that or have proof of that, of course.
So there's two things for consideration here. One of them is the food truck for, is it tomorrow at the school? And then there's okay, what do we want to do with this ordinance in the long?
Right.
So if we talk just about the coffee for tomorrow, the answer right now from the city staff, consistent with the ordinance, is that they would have to buy an annual permit to do what they plan to do.
Correct.
The event at the school is, what's the nature of the event that they're coming in for?
So it's the Peosta Elementary Parent Group having a fundraiser for their,
Tomorrow.
no,
Teacher
oh, you're talking
appreciation.
about tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
Oh, it's just Teacher Appreciation Week,
okay.
which Adobo is also coming in, but they're going to get a permit because they plan on coming out multiple times during the year.
And that was our intent by not offering short term, is that if we have someone invested, they're more likely to keep coming back. Right?
Yeah. And to safeguard the businesses.
Well, yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. If you modify the ordinance enough to make all the food truck happy, then the others aren't gonna be happy again. You go the other way, then they're not. Finding the middle ground.
I distinctly remember that point coming up and the deliberation around it, that we wanted to incentivize people to be a regular, the food trucks to come out more than once, be a regular presence.
But really nothing, quite honestly, absent ignoring the city code, there's really nothing we can do about tomorrow. It says what it says.
Okay,
So if you don't like that result, that would be something that you want
it really,
the ordinance to be on the next agenda to look at, and is there a way of tweaking it to make it fit better with how you think it should move forward? So
it seems like the rub in tomorrow is that despite our best efforts to communicate this through multiple channels, it seems to have been a surprise to some people.
sounds like it. We had that talk too. And people like to suggest surprise, even though the process is usually quite lengthy.
Yeah, multiple public hearings and it's been in the agenda, I don't know how many times. But if you're not paying attention, it's easy to have that eye.
So that's something to think about and potentially put back on an agenda for consideration, at least how to manage the special events.
So when is the next event that would be?
June 2nd is their big event that they're inviting multiple food trucks in.
Okay, so we've got a workshop Thursday. And we've got the council meetings yet, right?
So you could discuss it at the workshop, potentially put it on the following agenda. If there's modifications to be made, just pass one reading then and the rest of your next, or pass them all at that one, depending on what you'd like to do, if you come up with
Yeah, if we were gonna, so, well, I was thinking Thursday, we could figure out what we want to do by intent.
Yeah.
And then by Tuesday, we could have a draft of verbiage to put in front of the council.
You know,
But right now, I'm not sure we're
and it's
aligned.
possible their June activity already fits. You may think about what they're doing and say, well, that is a special event.
Right,
And you may just give direction, either you want to make that decision or you want staff to make that decision. So it might not require an ordinance change. It might just say, yeah, that looks like what we're thinking. That is.
yeah, I think that's the discussion we need to have first. So let's plan to do that Thursday.
So tomorrow's not a special event then?
It isn't a special event from the standpoint, it's not related to a fundraiser.
Okay, that's how you're going then.
It's,
Did they offer anything they would be open to?
No, they were just rather upset.
What's the penalty?
Pardon me?
What's the penalty if they come and they set up?
depends what
Municipal
this,
infraction.
yeah, if the city decides to issue a penalty, I mean, you could say, hey, don't ever do that again, or you will get penalized, or you could say, here's a citation for $100, or in this case, probably at least 200. You want to be at least as much as the permit requirement. But one other consideration, the way you were going, I think, is did they offer anything?
Yeah.
You know, if you start looking at, for example, somebody comes and says, well, we're going to set up by a fire department, we don't want to pay it, but we're going to give them a portion of our proceeds. How much of a portion is enough? 5%, 10, 20, and who's going to know if they really did?
It gets too complicated, right?
That gets complicated.
Well, and the other comment was, well, we'll just set up for donations, and then Doug had weighed in on that as well. It still is.
Some language in the ordinance doesn't really speak to if it's for sale, it's if you're doing business, you know, providing products. That's, no matter how long you talk about something, ordinances and these kind of things develop with experience, you know, and seeing what the public wants and we'll put up with. So for your work session, that's Thursday. I can try to throw together a couple other ordinances that I've seen, just to give you two other ones to look at. You probably looked at other ones when you're doing this one too, though.
I think there were quite a few that they looked
Yeah,
at.
I'm sure.
I just don't feel like if someone complains, we should relook at or ordinance and change it just because someone complained.
Yeah, and I guess where I was going, Doug, was did they offer they would rather just do a day permit? Right? So if we had the offering of $50 a day, fine, right? I mean, at least you have a couple of things to consider.
I mean,
And I get where you went. I just,
yeah, like John said, we talked about that, and it was all basically our businesses, brick and mortar people
yeah, I get it.
spend money, you know.
Well, maybe the thing is that this single day event at the invitation is something else that's going on, organization or something like that. They could get us.
I just encourage them to, it's a start of the year. Well, not really, but just to start of the summer. Pay the $200 fee and possibly come on here a year.
This date of the
More
permit.
than just
They
one
all
time.
expired December 31st.
No, I just told the ordinance, call it what it is. And deal with it.
But it can be evolved, right? If this stuff happens continually, we can evolve.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be stagnant at all.
But the first time, we don't.
First.
Right? I don't think anybody can do wrong.
Well, do you want it on the next agenda, just so it's not ready to discuss further if you have any ideas, at least on the workshop?
Yeah, shut it.
And if there's language in there, we need to change
But no,
what you think that should be
I think,
better.
yeah, I think to me, it comes down to what's the intent? If we can agree on what we want for intent, and we'll figure out the verbiage to go with it. But I think we need to decide if our intent is, we don't want to incentivize a single day per year.
Yeah,
Activity.
then it stays, yeah, right.
If that's our intent, then that says we don't give a day permit.
Okay. 6 months.
So what about something like Peosta days?
So Peosta days would be exempt because it's by us.
It's by us, and I think that qualifies as the special event as it's written in there.
No different than, Stacy was talking about possibly bringing food trucks out for tournaments for, the ball fields.
That would be us ourselves.
I don't know, that, she just mentioned that today, didn't she? I know she had talked about that.
I think it'll be good to talk through this more on Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's a good topic.
Can't they get help or
Pardon me?
can't they get help or what?
Well, Trackside brought in town clock on Saturday, so they're also competing, aren't they?
Excuse me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, and, you know, I know that, tournaments are a lot of work and they take a lot of food. She's probably got some donation coming back, I don't know, from the food truck, I have no idea, but
I think wasn't that all for the firemen? That whole thing that they did up there,
I think so.
that would fall under the exempt thing.
What's that?
Wouldn't that fall under the exemption? If they're doing that for a fundraiser for the fire department?
They have a permit, they got a permit.
Oh,
Because that gets into the question, what are they really giving the fire department?
yeah.
So it's, can be.
All right, can we take a motion to adjourn now?
I have a question about another ordinance. Would send in an application for a
Yes.
permit? Okay, does anybody who has one in the yard have to apply for a permit?
When I talked to her, I asked her just to do a blanket for
Where she's gonna
Lions
put them?
Club. For the Lions Club in general, for those signs.
So
Be the change.
does that mean that it's covered for all of the signs?
For those particular signs, correct?
That's
That's
one
what
way
we
of doing
discussed.
that. That's one way of doing it. I don't know all the discussions that have been made on that. A lot of times I would see those kind of signs, they kind of fall outside of what a lot of times you'll see. They aren't a real estate sign, they aren't a political sign. They aren't for a specific special event sign, a garage sale. So they're a little unique. Usually something like that wouldn't be permitted it'd be an exception. There wouldn't be a fee, but it would be limited in the amount of time it would be out. So that would be another consideration.
But I don't think we address it in the ordinance.
No,
do we?
it's not
It's
addressed well. I looked through the ordinance and you could fashion an argument that it might be okay, but it really isn't covered.
Rainbow looking.
But each one who has one in the yard wouldn't have to apply for a permit.
Correct. That's what we were trying to do, that blanket one for the signs that are out.
That kind of, nothing else, it buys you a little time to think about how you want to handle if that kind of stuff. If that's how you want to do it, any organization or entity, because you'll also see some schools or some parent groups, every kid on the high school football team, they'll make a sign with their picture word on it, and game day, those go out in the yard and they might stay out there for the football season. You know, things like that. I can't think of other options.
Graduation would be.
Graduation.
But I think that is addressed though. 'Cause
That
it
covered?
was like a home decorative,
It's in their own personal yard, right?
I think
Well,
so,
it shouldn't be in the right of way for sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a missing element covering those unique kind of signs that could be dealt with.
Be like, put
I think we ought to put two ordinances in the discussion Thursday.
No, I think best to leave that one go if she applied for it and it covers all of them.
And that's gonna be on the agenda for Tuesday.
But it is a nonprofit, and I think actually, well, maybe it could be clearer, but I don't care that we do it right now. We probably we could look at it again if somebody's.
And our,
I think she's calmed down, isn't she? I didn't get any more emails.
there is no fee associated with it. It's just the process.
Yeah, she was.
There's not a fee, but we also talked about that a little bit. We don't have fees for the fence. We don't have fees for the signs. I think it's time we start charging fees because it's taking a lot of staff time.
Particularly the fences.
Yes.
And signs can be time.
Put them in the next appropriate agenda.
Those can be changed just in our fee resolution. So if the council chooses that they want to start
That's it.
What I might want on the agenda or on the work session. Got a situation, where we've got some railroad property that a property owner's been cutting for the last 30, 40 years. Well, the husband can't do it anymore and he's in a home, it's expensive and she's paying to have that cut, but it's mainly railroad property. Can we cut that and charge the railroad as a city? Because I know she can.
In theory, you can, but you'd want to at least give them notice that somebody's been doing that voluntarily for you, they're not going to do it anymore. And you have an obligation, railroad, to maintain it consistent with city code. And if you don't do it, and we have to do it, then we'll do it, and it'll be assessed against you. We'll expect you to pay for it.
Can we send a letter this week and start cutting it next week? Because you know they're not gonna cut it. And it's right on Peosta Street. So. It's right here, Linda Street. Costs like 9. And she's paying, well, actually, she's paying Jason next door to us 25 to cut the whole thing every time. I thought, well, if we paid them 25 and sent the bill to the railroad, everybody, you know?
Right.
Is it being run right away?
Property.
East or west?
It's right at the railroad tracks there. It's, she's on the north side.
Side, okay.
It's at bottom.
I'll look at the,
It's right on the bottom by the, where they took the sidewalk out.
Oh, that whole area?
Took where, yeah. That whole, the biggest portion of that whole thing is railroad property. I thought the city owned some.
What do you mow the park, right?
Says the Platts is
So
railroad.
that's nothing you can haul over there.
It's right across from the park.
Get the railroad to pay us our time. But we also don't want to make them mad because we'd like to borrow a
yeah,
trail.
we're just starting a new conversation with them.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, I'm trying.
So we aren't gonna be able to send them the bill?
I'm not saying that.
I think that'd be a bad idea.
I just gonna say, it'd be worth talking to them about, send them a bill, just cut it and be done.
Since we're cutting the park right across the street from it.
Well, if we don't have the time to cut it, or it costs more for us to cut it, we could have the guys doing it, cut it, but who would pay it?
Think,
Is what I was thinking.
I would like to make sure we're really clear about where the property lines are and what the code requires before we take an action.
The other problem is gonna be if there's an injury on that property.
It's the railroads, it's not our problem.
But if we go on with no direction by the railroad, then we're probably held liable for that.
We're trespassing.
Gotcha.
I know that.
Why don't, yeah, I'll talk to Karen, figure out where the property is.
Let's-
We'll look at the property lines, and I'll look at city code, and I'll keep something to look at on your Thursday.
That's the right next step, is just get some fact around
A
that.
lot more of the property belongs to the railroad or city, I don't know which, than it does to them. But it's, if that's let go, we're gonna have a lot of wildlife and everything else, mosquitoes. And it is right across from the park.
Okay.
But I,
We'll cut this, let's have the right way for a trail.
All right. How about now for a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Who made that motion?
I did.
Jerry and Mike?
Doug, wait for it.
You need to sign it.
That guy.
don't you have anything else to talk about?
No.
Karen, I.
My guy.
Motion carried with 5 meetings adjourned.
Congratulations on that. Welcome.
Thanks again, everyone.
Still world champion.